Hello, and thank you for joining us for another edition of Emotional Intelligence and Career Transition. I am Dr. Tara, and Denise Parkinson is joining me today as we dive into transitioning into a new career and, having the courage and not fear to make that transition. And I know if it's not you, you know someone who has likely transitioned into a different type of career, whether that was by force or by choice, which we've discussed before, or if they wanted to, leave corporate or any industry that they're in to pursue something personal, whether that's entrepreneurship. You know, Having the courage to do that and not fear really takes a lot of self-awareness. It takes a lot of confidence, a lot of self-esteem to make that decision, regardless of where you are in your career. And so, although transitioning to a new career can be exciting, it could also excite fear. Because ultimately it involves stepping out of your comfort zone and facing uncertainty because none of us know what's on the other side when we accept the offer. We don't know how many obstacles or challenges we're going to face when we step out into entrepreneurship. It's just so many things. There's so many unknowns because it's an unfamiliar place. However, having the courage to overcome fear or deal with fear during a career transition is really important. And being able to find ways to overcome that fear is really important. And so, Denise, would you like to jump in to just kind of share some strategies to overcome that fear?
Indeed, indeed. You made me think about something that I used to hear back in the 80s called false evidence appearing real, a definition of FEAR, fear. And it appears real. It is real. Fear is real for sure. And especially when you're transitioning a career, it can bring added fear that is unwanted because it blocks the way you think. It blocks the way that you then plan out what you're going to do next. And, but is it false? Hmm. It has an element of physically affecting you. It has an element of affecting you mentally as
Mhm.
well.
Yes.
But there are some really strong emotional intelligence traits about you that you can really genuinely pull on in terms of resilience, in terms of self empathy, in terms of that self awareness that this is false potentially, but it's
Mhm.
appearing real. So it is true. You are feeling the fear. And I think that's why they got the book, right? And do it anyway.
Do it anyway. Yeah. Susan Jeffers, Jeffries. Yes, I've read
Exactly.
that.
Exactly. But it means then that you've got to find a way to switch that false evidence and start to raise that courage and really start to step into that transitional state of moving your career. Either it's to a new sector, whether it's to a new department, a new function, whether it's to something completely different. You can have the courage to do that. But, you've got to also be self aware of the fact that you've got so far to date and you've succeeded. And you may feel as if you have failed, but actually, no, not necessarily. You get through and you transition. You have transitioned before, so you can transition again. And therefore, getting that courage to be able to do it is really, truly crucial. And so, steps for doing that, steps for courage. How do you do that and get rid of that fear? To be honest, I don't think that fear ever really goes away. And I think it's a good thing because it keeps you on your toes and it keeps you relevant to being genuine and being authentic about your next steps and a little bit vulnerable as well. And but when you can strengthen that courage by building up your self-confidence and really realizing, you know what, I am great at what I do. I'm competent at what I do. My talents and my skills are top notch. There are maybe some things or some percentages of things in your um, resume, as you say in America, or our CV over here, that may not be absolutely ticking every box, but that doesn't even matter either. if you are genuinely self-aware now, it's your EI skills that will surpass a lot of your talent or your actual qualifications and the
Mhm.
letters after your name. And so don't worry so much about that. It's all about really tapping into that talent that you've got, the competency you've got. You've done this before. You've done a little bit of something else before. And if you've done a little bit of it before and it's been successful, it means you are potentially able to do it again at a bigger level. So please just turn around and just check yourself really in terms of what am I feeling? Is it really false? If it's not really false, well, actually, maybe I'm making this up in my head and I need to just go above that parapet, lift that courage and decide the talent, the skills, the experience that I've got can get me above that fear for sure.
Those are some really great points. Particularly, I'm glad that you called out that you've transitioned before, because many times we forget that, this isn't the only job we've had or opportunity that we've had. We've had so many more prior to where we are today. And so, but that also takes me to being able to accept that this is just this is a season of life that you're in. This is where you are today. And so rather than really, accepting and embracing fear really, stepping back, as you said, or turn around and view it as an opportunity for growth and personal development. So when you're able to embrace where you are, you start to navigate differently. And in order to do that, I would also couple that with positive affirmations and positive self-talk, because you're going to face some obstacles. You're going to face some things that are challenging, and you want to have the strategies, the tools, and the resources to really ward off those negative thoughts and be able to replace them with positive self-talk, positive affirmation. Because again, you're going back to what you mentioned, Denise. You're reminding yourself of past achievements and the things that you've done before and the transitions that you've made, and you came out fine on the other side. And many times we forget those things, or we forget to even celebrate those wins, whether they're small or big. Being able to acknowledge that I've been in this space before, although it's uncomfortable, and many times it may be in accelerated space where it's unfamiliar, but being able to celebrate at the achievements, acknowledge those achievements along the way, that, I've done some great things to get here. Now I need to extend myself more to really get to the next level that I'm trying to get to. Because when you think about fear, it is a part of life. It's going to pop up, but it's not something that you have to embrace. The most important thing is that you recognize it and then be able to step out of it. So it's okay to feel it, but it's not okay to let it paralyze you. And you can move past that by many of the things that we've shared with you today.
Absolutely. Don't let it paralyze you. Get up and still walk with that feeling and still get down the road for sure. Because, you reminded me of a time, oh my goodness, it might have been 15 years ago, where I recall going into an interview and it was one of those where they say hello and then they said, right, this is the room that you're going to be in, get your presentation ready, and then we'll come back in an hour. And I remember them shutting the door, and that feeling of fear came over me because I was transitioning into a very, very different space for sure. And I recall just pulling out those positive affirmations. And before I even
Oh,
looked at
wow.
the brief, I
Mhm.
remember walking around the room and just, speaking into how good I am and what I'm made up of and the talents that I've got and the experience that I have and why I even applied in the first place. And obviously it landed me the job and I did get that job. But just as you said it, it just took me back and it made me reminded me of a transition I'd been through before. So for those of you who are listening to this, please be reminded, think back and map that out, all the different transitions you've done before. How did you get from A to B to C? And now you can go from D to E to F. It's possible,
Mhm.
absolutely possible. And then I also wanted to cover that actually fear can appear very differently for
Mhm.
different people. And what I mean by that is, are you fearful of the transition because it's maybe a change in the salary? It might be a change in the sector. It might be a change or fearful of what other people will say and what other people will do around you. And that can be crippling. But if you allow some of those things to cause that fear to rise up and not let courage overtake you, then obviously that's going to put you into a space where you will be paralyzed. So you won't move because you don't think you're earning, enough zeros at the end of the pay slip. And that's not fair on you. And it's not fair on the people
Yeah,
that you are denying your amazing skills and talent. So if you don't step out, if you become paralyzed by that fear, then ultimately some roles will never be filled by the person who's supposed to be filling them, and that's you.
absolutely.
So definitely turn that fear around. So if it's fear of money, take the courage, step out in faith to believe that you can get those extra roles, new roles with that same salary and above. If it's trying to please people, guess what? People don't necessarily create your success. You create your success and pull the right team around you to make it happen. So
Yes.
don't let fear, no matter what it looks like, cause you to not step out.
Those are really good points, and particularly, I'm glad you made the note of what could be causing you, like what could be creating the fear for you.
Mm.
But I also think it's important to call out if you feel that you're stuck or that you can't move past the fear that or anxiety that you're experiencing, consider working with a career coach. Someone who specializes in career transitions, like myself or Denise or others who may be a better fit for you. But in any case, the foundation is that we offer guidance, support, and a structured approach to where you are in your career and whether it's time for you to go up or out, and or leaning into your emotional intelligence and knowing how to leverage those depending on where you are in your career.
Sure, that's brilliant. Thanks for reminding everybody of that, Tara. And definitely, if you connect with this and you feel that it's been useful, then please do comment below and please do subscribe and follow us on LinkedIn as well. And also, if this one hasn't quite given you the tips you were looking for, then please do go back and just check whether any of the previous videos that we've posted
Mhm.
here will give you the insight that you need to really be courageous. Get up, take that step, and make it change for you in your life. Okay. So, with that, thank you very much. Get in touch with us on Denise at denisesparkelson.com and drtaraspeaks.com. All the best till next week.